Welcome back, welcome back. Welcome back to the Sit Down Radio Show. We're here today talking with Sha and Milo, some parkour experts, about dedication. So, Milo, can you tell us a little bit about where did your dedication come from for parkour? How did this all come about for you?
Well, I started training parkour about 3 years ago, very beginning of my time in high school. And for me, it was a slow process. It began just as a way to have fun. You know, I would go out and I would, hang with my friends and we would jump around, I guess. That's how it started. I mean, I feel like it starts like that for a lot of people. And then as I began to progress and I began to see that I was getting stronger through the activity and that I had a little less fear just within the movements, I became more interested in it and I began to push myself harder. And a lot of the friends that I was training with at the time they kind of dropped out of it because to them it wasn't that interesting, but for me it really resonated with me. And I've just been training and pushing myself ever since, and I feel like that's all you need to be good at it, and being good isn't really in relation to other people. It's all about what you want to achieve. So for me, like, when I go out and I do something that I feel really good about, that's what keeps me coming back and keeps me pushing.
So there's something about really finding your flow and your dedication to this flow that has kept you coming back into the practice.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Sha, what about you? How did you get into this?
Yeah, I started training about 5 years ago. I started like pretty much everyone else. Like, you find out about it however you found out about it. I picked my favorite move that I saw. I was like, wow, these guys were running up walls and stuff. So they call it like a wall climb or tag up or whatever you want to call it. But I just pretty much saw it, learned about it, went straight up to my roof and just kept doing it. I was a kid. So it's like, and I got pretty good at that. And it was like, what else is there for me to learn? And then you just kind of start picking up more and more techniques, aspects, understandings of movement in general. You start learning about yourself. And then, like, once you, like, there's just kind of like a euphoria to it. And, like, you start to see, like, as you're walking down the street after you've started parkour, like, you're like, oh, I can play on that, or, oh, I can, do this on that. Like, this move I learned, I can apply it to this obstacle. And that's just kind of like the beginning process of starting parkour. And then from there, you just start to fully just understand yourself more, you understand the world around you more. And where you started off trying to overcome obstacles, like physical obstacles, you understand how to apply those concepts to your life and overcoming obstacles in life.
It's interesting. When I was around 7 years old, I remember going up to my garage by my house and putting a pile of leaves together and jumping off from the roof. And so basically, what you're telling me is, if I just would have kept on going, I might have been a parkour expert myself.
I mean, I think what differs that from being parkour is parkour has the philosophy behind it. So I feel like when you're using that philosophy and applying it to the activity that you're doing, that makes that activity parkour. For me, it's not, I mean, I don't know if Sha would agree, but I feel like it's not necessarily the set of movements that makes it parkour, but the way you approach using that set of movements, if that makes sense. Because, I see a lot of people just, like, go out and, like, just do big, crazy stuff. And that's very different from, like, what I feel is, like, parkour, which is a way of, like, approaching something to overcome it, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
So you really are giving a lot of thought to what you're doing. It's not just, I might say the equivalent would be someone who, you go out to a club somewhere and you see a guy jump on the dance floor and throw out a couple of intense big moves, but then they're huffing and puffing and they're out of breath and that's it for their night, they're done. Yeah. As opposed to the person who kind of paces themselves and really thinks through how they're going to flow through the night. It's maybe one way to look at it. Well, I wanted to ask you a question, because you keep on mentioning that there's preparation that gets involved, and as you were getting into it, you would learn the moves and practice the moves. I've seen Milo. This whole thing came about because I met Milo on the street about a year ago, walking on 13th Street, and suddenly in front of my eyes I see a flip-flopping person twisting around and landing on the cement, and I was dumbstruck. I couldn't believe it. And I said, dude, that's pretty intense. And he explained to me that, no, I train intensely for this, and safety is important. So can you speak to us a bit about what goes into the training and the safety?
Yeah, one one concept you can say, you can call it calculated risk when I try to explain it to people that are going by authorities, you know, who think, or just, not even authorities, just maybe the community in general. Anyone's seeing like, oh, these guys are reckless, they're thrill seekers, they're adrenaline junkies, throwing themselves off of things, you know, for a rush. We really don't. There's a kind of rush, but it's not what people think. It's
Right.
we're not going out and saying, let's find something really high to jump off of. And people who do that are, they have a lot to learn, basically. Like, if someone who's been training for a while sees some beginners come to a local training spot, and they see them doing things that they know that in the long run is going to, like, hurt them, like, you know, taking big drops, like, just for fun, you know? Like, it's not what we should do.
So how do you practice safely? I mean, do you go to a swimming pool and jump off a diving board? Do you make a pile of leaves and jump into a pile of leaves?
I think the way you train it safely is it's all about a slow progression as opposed to, you know, you're not going to patting the ground and then taking the same drop, but the padded ground isn't going to teach you anything. It's all about slowly progressing. So, I mean, and also conditioning a lot. I mean, we all condition pretty actively.
It's just about starting where you're comfortable, where your level is. If that happens to be standing on a 2x4 and then jumping 2 feet to another 2x4, you know, if that's where you are, that's where you should start, and that you're not any less of a practitioner.
Okay, so people at home shouldn't necessarily go and jump off their banister.
You should jump off anything,
right? And on their
start
TV.
as small as possible.
Yeah,
and then
I mean, I feel like
build up.
it's all about when I go to do something that I'm not exactly sure about. The thought that goes through my mind is all the things I've done that are really exactly like it. So if you're going out to do like a precision, which is a standing jump from one point to another, and it's a little further than you used to, you realize that you've done one that's 3 feet, one that's 4 feet, one that's 5 feet,
right.
And you're building up. And so like by the time 3 years rolls around, 10 feet doesn't seem like much.
Right. I can understand that, and I'm sure people can relate to that from other activities, sports. You know, I snowboard. When I started on a green run or doing a small thing, now it's nothing. If I'm hitting a much harder run, things grow as you grow with it. One thing I wanted to mention, I'm sure that over time you've minimized injury and whatnot, but every now and then you must get blood on you know, you must get a little bloody on things. So I'm curious to know, when you get bloody on your clothes, this is a good opportunity for me to tell people about one of our sponsors, because we have a sponsor out there that I think you guys should know about.
Yeah.
All right, 'cause he's going to come in really handy for you. There's a business out there called Slate NYC, and they're a dry cleaner. And these guys aren't just your average dry cleaner; they are an eco-friendly dry cleaner. So let's say you're out on parkour and you're jumping over things, and suddenly you land in a pile of trash, and there's ketchup all over you, and all sorts of, you know, you're really a mess. I would highly recommend you make your way over to Slate NYC, and they have locations all over the city, guys. You can find them on slatenyc.com, and their whole concept is using eco-friendly products and technologies. And I know that you guys really care about the environment, because you're connecting with the environment. It's your friend. So Slate NYC as well cares about the environment, and they are one of our favorite sponsors, so check them out if you ever need to get anything cleaned. Dry cleaning service, wash and fold your clothes, all of that. Slate NYC. All right. Well, we're going to take a break, guys, and we're going to come back to this fascinating discussion about parkour and about dedication in just a few minutes. But until then, our resident DJ, Pete the intern, is going to take us into some good tunes.